Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're hailing from. Welcome to another episode of the Future of OpenShift Administration with PM and UXD. This is a show about the future of OpenShift. So with that in mind, I have to throw out this general disclaimer that things you see here may or may not end up in the product, or may end up in the product at a later date than we think or state on the show. So as most things are from the future on this show, I will let the host, the people speaking caveat when they need to, but just to keep in mind, this is the future. Correct, Ali?
Yes, exactly. So hi, everybody. Ali Mobram. I'm the OpenShift Console PM from the future. And I brought a team of people with me today. Today we have a great group of people to come and show you guys some cool stuff. So first off, we're going to have Tony Wu, also a product manager who focuses on primarily all things operator and OLM UI related.
Awesome.
In addition to that, we also have Bree. She's going to come in and show you some future designs on quick starts. It's going to be really cool. And then on top of that, we have Chris here, and he will show you our design website that everyone can access and see what's coming down the pipe. So I'm going to hand it off to Tony and get this show going.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm Tony Wu. Also Lisa, also part of the OpenShift product team. So today I'm going to talk about like auto-generated creation form for operator managed services. So what this is about is that we've heard a lot of feedback either directly from our customers or our partner that are asking for a rich UI to guide end user how to get started and consume their operator back services. So if you are an ISV, independent software vendor, and or operator developer, what we're going to show you today is how you can leverage these great UI features to set your offerings apart from the cloud with this OpenShift ecosystem. And if you are an end user of OpenShift or just Kubernetes in general, you're about to see how you can easily get started with operator back services with OpenShift Console. So the focus of this session today will mostly focus on the onboarding or the day one UX, right? But because it's focused on the creation form. But we know that operators are equally powerful for day two, like the ongoing management pieces of the workflow. So a lot of the UX stuff like the UI changes you see today will also be applied to the day two. But today we'll just focus on the day one, the onboarding, the creation form UX improvement.
One thing I want to add on top of that is one of our primary objectives for the OpenShift console is to have a very customizable, extendable platform. All right, so when you install an operator, you're now going to get additional API services all available, and we want people to be able to come and customize the platform for their needs, right? Be it you want to run VMs, be it you want to run serverless, be it you want to run like great software like Portworx or Datadog or whoever, you should be able to come and do that, and the UI should be the one-stop shop to like surface and let you take advantage of those services, right? So this is exactly what we're talking about, how we're enabling this extension mechanism for the console.
Exactly. All right, so let's jump right into it. Thanks, Ali. And so, so we wanted to improve the onboarding UX, right? How to easily get started with the operator back services. So of course, we need to have a really good YAML UX, right? So actually, YAML UX in console is pretty good now. But other than that, we really wanted to have a new and richer GUI, graphical user interface UX, to help reduce the friction when folks trying to deploy the operator managed services. So we based on our investigation and we list out several general characteristics that helps provide a great first-time use experience. So here are the list of stuff that we feel, hey, we should be tackle or we should be provide to improve the form or the UI UX for this type of onboarding UX stuff. So of course, having some basic data type validation is helpful. If this form field asks for an integer, definitely we should be blocking the input type only to the integer, right? Avoid some special characters or spacing, etc. Right? And then help text definitely help. That's why you call help text, provide more context. highlight some required fields so user can easily know which are the minimum viable configuration to get started, right? Maybe some partner asking for, hey, is there any way that I can change the form field ordering? Okay, that's also important. Maybe some field really belongs to advanced use case, then we can probably hide them from the primary view. That way we reduce the cognitive load, right? And also hide some non-user face, maybe some internal, like really like a systematic approach or system oriented field. We should be able to hide that from the field, something like that. So once we have a good idea about what area we wanted to improve, we start to look at the UI element of the actual form field. So we started from pick a few essential form elements, right? For example, text input box, that's super obvious, right? Text input box would be helpful. A Boolean toggle specifically for the Boolean field, just toggle and you can send true or false without having the need to type in the actual word. A searchable drop-down selection may be helpful to help you to find the correct Kubernetes object when you need it to. And some may have requirement for field dependency. Maybe a set of control fields show height of that section is depending on a control field. If a field is set to A and then a certain group of fields shows up, switch to B, and then the other set of fields shows up, something like that. Also, we also look at some most frequently used Kubernetes configurations. For example, change the image pool policy, right? And then also like change the update strategy for your deployment, set the request and limit of resource for your workload, etc. So based on these elements or primary use case scenario, we build a set of UI widget for this scenario. That way, operator developers can just leverage on these Legos, this building block, and easily build up a form for their end user. And other than that, we wanted to automate this process as much as we can. So operator developer doesn't need to always build a custom UI from scratch. So they can just easily take a lot of these Legos and put together a form for their users. So two key Kubernetes objects or APIs this creation form feature relies on are number one, the CRD structure schema that's been stored in CRD YAML. And the second one is OM descriptor stored in CSB YAML. We'll get to some details about this later, but probably not too detailed, but just lightly touch on that. So like we just said, so two primary pieces we rely on for this feature is the CRD structure schema. So on the left, we know operator developer, they already create a custom resource for their offering. So for example, if they provide a database services, so first thing they need to do is they need to convert that service into a custom resource. This way is how they can extend Kubernetes API and then have a custom control loop to manage that as an operator, right? So they mostly have already laid out the validation schema for their custom resource and been stored in the CRD YAML. So that schema is the way how API server can validate this custom resource. So it includes a lot of spec fields, status fields. So console can basically auto-generate a basic creation form based on the CRD structure schema. And basically through mapping the schema property to a corresponding UI element. For example, you can look at, for example, if this field is asked for a type string, then we just map to input box, text input box. If we ask for a string with enum, maybe a drop-down, select drop-down, right, with a couple of options. Boolean, switch to Boolean toggle. Type object and type array is mapped to, basically it mapped to a field group, meaning a group of field. So we can do some basic conversion with that.
Add one thing in there. I believe that the structural schema, this Open API v3 schema, also became a requirement in Q1.19. Is that correct, Tony?
Yeah, it's actually got deferred to 1.22.
Oh, 1.22, okay.
Yeah, with the CRD version v1. Yes.
Gotcha, okay, good to know.
Yeah, so if you are an operator developer and you are building your operators with Golang and using operator SDK actually provide some nicely API markers to help you to generate this structure schema. So just throw a link there. I don't know how to share this slide, but maybe we can share this slide, later, so that you can easily.
Yeah, if you send it to me, I can get it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I can share that with you later. So you guys can just click that link and then send you to the documentation. And then the second fold of this feature on the left and the right-hand side is the CSV OLM descriptor. So OLM is it's called Operator Lifecycle Manager. Is a part of OpenShift. It's a part of operator framework. It's also OpenShift project, open source project. So we rely on its feature is called a declarative UI control. So basically OLM use an object or API is called cluster service version, CSV, to represent a version of operator. So operator developers can actually add an array of OLM descriptor in that CSV YAML manifest. And then console will take those OLM descriptor to overwrite the creation form previously generated. We'll get to that in the demo in detail. So based on the path you assign. So here I also shows a reference guide. So you click that, basically show you to this view. You'll see we already previewed a list of, not tons, but a list of already build up the widgets, so you can see the code snippet. We'll demo, we show how you can use that. So you can see how the things being rendered in consoles. For example, this part size widget, you can see on the creation form, easily help user to set the replica size. And same thing apply to the detail view. So this is for day 2, this is for day 1, but today we'll focus on day 1. Something like, so we already have a list of stuff. So operator developer can just take that as a Lego and then build up in an array. And if you're using, definitely you can just manually add those spec descriptor in your CSV file, which we'll do it today in demo. But if you are using Operator SDK to build your operator in Golang, it also provides a set of API markers so that you can dynamically create those spec descriptor in your Go code. Also drop a link here. Okay, next slide. So from this slide, just quick conclude about how this is going to look like in console. So now OpenShift Console default to form view whenever you try to spin up an open operator managed services. But you can always flip back to YAML editor, right? So maybe you wanted to double check your setup before hit the create button, right? And then all the data on the form and the YAML will be stored between you switch back and forth. You think about the file index UX, right? So you may be using some custom UI to fill up input all the information you need. And then before you submit, you flip to the raw data view to see if everything looks good to you. And then the second bullet point is just in previous version of OpenShift Console, we actually require user to manually lay out some of the object field, the field group using spec descriptor. But now everything mostly is auto-generated directly based on the CRD schema structure. So these are the couple of things we're going to see today in today's demo. I'll still quickly go through this slide to give a brief, intro to see what we're going to see in today's demo. So the takeaway is that the enhanced create operand form in OpenShift Console features equals to having your CRD structural schema ready, plus OLM descriptor for additional UI customization. So quickly, so in today's demo, we are going to look at exactly this stuff, but I was using another community operator to show off this. So firstly, we are going to see an actual CRD YAML manifest, and then we can see the structural schema, see how many field in the schema property, and then we show the form view. Solely based on these schema properties, how the creation form view will be automatically generated within OpenShift Console. And then we pick a few field, and then we apply a few spec descriptor and see how form can dynamically or declaratively change based on the OLM descriptor you added to the CSV. And also we can also quickly swap out the form field ordering by changing the ordering within that spec descriptor array inside the CSV YAML. And finally, this is also a bonus feature that latest console also support directly add a full markdown block to the CRD your operator manage or provide. So that way you can add more maybe external link to external tutorial to help and guide your user how to create the services. So with that, let's jump into the demo. Any questions so far or anything you want to add, Ali?
I mean, this is awesome, like super powerful, super flexible. We're really giving our partners and operator creator community the ability to come in and just take advantage of the UX and console. And this is awesome.
Yeah, this is really cool. There's no questions in chat right now, but yeah, keep plugging away. I'm sure there will be.
Awesome. So here in console, I already installed an community operator from Datadog. So you can see this operator actually provide 2 API, meaning the managed services. So what we're going to start with is we can check this individual API is actually a CRD that owned by this operator. We can switch to YAML, and you are looking at a CSV cluster service version of this operator, which represent this version of operator on this OpenShift cluster. So firstly, we can find the own field. You'll see the spec field of this operator, CRD it owns. So basically it provides these 2 types of CRD. So we can basically copy this kind CRD, and then we switch to the console's CRD view, which is this one. And you search by that CRD, you flip to the YAML view, and then you can search for schema. From this, you can see the CRD of this Datadog agent. You can see the spec field, schema, open APIs, v3 schema. Basically, this describes how this CR looks like. So let's collab all these metadata field, the spec field. So you will see this instance, this CRD, this CR instance, it actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top level properties. And you can look at here. So this one of these 6 properties is required, which is credential. So then with that in mind, we can switch to the form view. You click creation form view. So now you can see these 2 guys are metadata field, like the name and labels are metadata. So we don't care about that for now. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So based on that structure schema, console can dynamically generate this creation form for the operator back services. So you can see it laid out 6 fields, and then these mostly are type objects. So let's switch to the this. For example, you can check credential is actually asked for a type object. What type object meaning itself is an object. So the CR itself is an object, and it has some property asking for an object type, meaning that object also have a lot of properties. So that means fields group. So we can basically map that. And you can notice that why we render credential as the first field, right? So that's because it's been marked as a required field. So console will always mark the shows the required field upfront. That way user can easily get to that. There's a minor bug here. Actually here, we should show a red asterisk, but there's a bug file for that. So the fix will be coming up soon. But anyway, so we will render the required field first. And let's expand that. Oh, by the way, you can see all the help text. Console basically directly pull these help text directly from the schema. So for agent, the desired state of agent is, so you can basically see that directly from here. So until now, as long as you as the operator provider, you already have your CRD structure schema ready, console can automatically generate all these form field for you as a basic form. So as we dive into these credential sections, you'll see it basically asks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 field. So let's see that. It's right here. Let's collapse this agent. Same thing here. API key, existing secret, API secret, app key, token. Yeah, 8. So that's great. So yeah, all render it correctly and also include the help text. But if you look closely, you'll notice, hey, actually these two guys, they're actually deprecated, right? So basically what it means is you likely want your user to mess up with this field using the new field, instead. But, with this open OM descriptor features, you don't necessarily need to actually remove the property from your CRD because, it requires you to upgrade the CRD, maybe you have your certain release cadence, backward compatibility issue, etc. So what you can actually do is you can add a spec descriptor to basically exclude these two fields from the creation form. So what we can do is we can jump right into this reference guide. You find the hidden, and boom, we have a lot of code snippet right here. So what we can do here is we basically just copy these examples, and then we switch back to the CSV. We first found the own CRD field. We add spec descriptor section stanza. We also paste that. So this is how a spec descriptor look like. It actually has 4 fields. One is display name. You can customize the display name on your creation form. Maybe you doesn't want your field show as a camel case. You wanted to have a more user-friendly display name. You can definitely do that. And description, you can replace that with a more concise help text instead of showing that more system approach, longer paragraph help text if you wanted to. The most essential or the only required field is the path. That way you can correctly point into the correct property within your CR. And then the X descriptor is how you specify the corresponding UI widget. So right now, since we just wanted to hide this field, so we don't need display name and description, we just remove this and then keep this descriptor as hidden. We double check the path. Okay, so we wanted to hide this, right? So it's credential. Okay. What we can do is we just put credentials like this. Make sure I spell it correctly.
Use the dot notation for every level if you go down, right? So you could have multiple levels of schema going down and you want to hide a field that's nested 3 or 4 levels down. You just use a dot notation, right, Tony?
Yep. And unfortunately, the YAML just refreshed, so we lose that.
Nah, that's always fun. You gotta be quick.
Yes. All right, so okay, paste it here and YAML, right? You have to be careful about the indentation. Okay. I have to be quick. Copy this. Put it right here, and then credential. Oh, later. Docker. Go. Oops. What else? What did I do? Oh, I think it's an array. So it has to be like this. Yes. Then we switch back to the form view. You notice that field is gone, right? Previously, it has API key existing secret. Now it's gone because it's been hidden. So basically, we can also apply this same thing for here. We can also hide this to just doing the same thing with that second field. What we can do here, we just add another array item here. And then since they have a similar name, we just assign that field is gone again. So as well. So now we basically hide those 2 deprecated fields. So we can use this way instead of actually upgrade and change your CRD instance or definition to hide 2 deprecated field. And if you look closely, you notice we have a Boolean toggle here. It's basically saying if this use secret backend set to true, all other parameters will be ignored. So what we can improve here is basically if you toggle this to true, and then we basically just hide the rest of the field. So we can easily do that because we actually also have another one called field dependency. So code snippet right here. So basically, it set a control field right here and you specify what control fields data to define the show high of the dependent field. So what we can easily do here is we can just copy this field. Hopefully we still have enough time. So right here, pass, and okay. So we basically use that secret backend as the control. Right here.
So John, if you just hit save without putting valid field names in there, will it save or will it throw an
error? As long as you have pass, then you can save it without any error.
Okay.
So let's just try with this first.
So that might be a good strategy. Just kind of paste it, hit save, and then you could like take your time finding the field.
That's clever. Yeah. So basically, you see, once we set this as a control field, you'll be showing up from. And then you toggle on and off, you can notice, okay, there's one field being hidden and show, right? So basically, we can leverage the same thing and then apply to all the field. Let's see, I think we have 5 more. So let's just, hold on. And then just double this will be quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. Let's add secret. Yes. We don't need these two because those two are being hidden. So app secret. App secret. Let's say first. In case it just got refresh, and the last one is token. Okay. Save this page right here. So with all these laid out, you basically specify 5 fields as a dependent field and then set this Boolean toggle as a control field. So you can basically see this form. You can basically do this kind of dynamic branching, right? So if you toggle this field as true, and then you basically just hide all the rest of the field. That way you don't need to actually put these long descriptions within the help text, and easier to convey this characteristic to your user. Hey, if you toggle this from false to true, and then basically all the rest of the form will be overridden. You basically need to ignore them. So that's one way you can improve this form field, and also one of the widgets that we provide out of the box. And of course, you can see app secret. So this actually asks for a secret name. So, but we'll cover that in later. So anyway, so let's see agent. We pick another one. So agent image, you notice there's an image pool policy, right? So this is a super, frequently see. So we use case. So we actually also have a widget for that. So let's just copy that and then find the own one. Oops. Right here. So we can basically override that text input box with that widget. So it's agent. I think it's right here. Hold on. Agent. And I think it's agent image. Agent image. Pool policy. I'll make this right. So now it's being replaced to this widget. So user can easily just toggle the option, and then they don't need to actually manually type in always, never, or if not present. And the last one I wanted to show here is the pool image pool secret. So if you expand this section, you'll notice it actually had add and remove key. So this is actually an array item. So what array item in the schema means, you can have multiple, you can have an array of this property, right? So this field basically asks for a secret name. So it'll be nice if you can actually turn this into a widget. That way user can easily pick the secret existing on their cluster. So we also have a widget for that. So I'll just quickly add that. It has similar paths, but slightly different is because it's an array. So we need to be a little bit careful on the paths you use. So it shares the same parent. So we just free right here. And I think it's called, what is that called? Pool secret. So I will imagine it's called pool secret. It has S. Yes. And since it's an array, so what we need to do here is we point to the first array element. So you use this bracket, make it as a index array index. And then with that, you notice this field has been converted to a drop-down select menu. That way you can do some search and find the correct secret object that exists in your cluster. And then you can also remove and add this for this form field. So that's some quick showcase, like how you can using this kind of spec descriptor to manually swap out the form field and then provide a richer interactions to improve your form experience. So basically, console generate a basic form for you based on the structure schema, but then we can do only that much with that basic schema information, right? So because we only know, okay, this field asks for a string, then we replace that as a text input box. But if we actually ask for a secret object, you can use this to pick this descriptor to allow users to easily pick a secret. And then image pool policy, same thing. And then we can also use descriptor to provide this kind of a branching or dynamic form interactions on the form. Just with a couple of descriptor, then you can basically using that Legos to build up the form easily. And so now we've seen the structure schema form, and also the descriptor, changing the ordering. Lastly, the markdown of the CES. The CRD, I actually already have installed another sample I've been created. So you can see if you can basically add a full markdown block on your creation form view, right-hand side here. So basically give you an opportunity to provide some external link, maybe some tutorial, some video, or some highlight some spec you need to be care of to call out some use case. That way you can help your user easily understand how to configure your operator manager services and easily get started. So that's all the stuff I wanted to show for today's brief demo. And I throw some useful link here on this final slide. So like this link send you to give a general introduction about how this automatic generate form behaves and how you can utilize this feature and how you can use spec descriptor to customize your creation form to actually elevate your UX even better. Spec descriptor reference guide, operatorframework.io website is open source project. Welcome everyone to check out and contribute. SDK using APM marker to create the structure schema for your CRD, using APM marker to add dynamic programmatically add OLM descriptors to your operator CSV. Of course, you can do it manually, just like I do previously. And OLM upstream website has a tons of documentation. Welcome to check it out. So that's conclude my brief demo for today. Any questions so far?
That was awesome, Tony. Like super powerful, super flexible. I mean, the CRD by itself just gives you the basic raw data, and we do our best to generate something useful out of that. But when you come in and you layer the OLM descriptors, you really actually give the operator creators some ability to come in and provide a next level experience for managing and creating their resources. So this was awesome. Thanks so much for sharing all this.
Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you.
All right, I'll stop sharing.
All right, and I will start sharing. So in keeping with the theme of customization, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to show a new feature we added in 4.6. They're called quick starts. The very first thing I'm going to talk about quick starts is how to access them. So if you come to the overview page in the administrator perspective, you'll see a nice little link here. You click this, and this will take you to all the available quick starts. Now, what a quick start is essentially, think of it as almost like interactive documentation to help you guide users through either installing, for example, we have some to like install serverless or to install pipelines. And then once those are installed, it'll help you either deploy your first serverless app or to help you create your first pipeline. So like I showed you guys in the overview page, we have the link that'll bring you here. If you ever go away from that, you can also come and find it under the help icon in the masthead, quick starts. And then finally, the third mechanism or third way to get to it is through the developer perspective and add, let me pick a project that has something. There'll be a card here for quick starts as well. So these are the three areas to get you to the quick starts page. Now, as you see here on the quick starts page, we have three different kind of statuses, right? So one is, I kind of started this one in progress. This one has been completed, and these have not even been started, right? So, but let's just go to setting up serverless, and we can restart the tour. It brought us here. Kind of gives you a little brief info of what serverless is and what you could do with it, and then takes you to the steps to essentially enable you to come in and get OpenShift serverless operator up and running. I'm not actually going to go through all these, but I just wanted to kind of just show you the pattern. So once I supposedly do this, we get a nice little section here. It says check your work, right? This is to help you verify that you've done it correctly. It'll tell you what to look for. If you did it correctly, click yes, or if you didn't get it, you can click no, and then go figure out. Here's some more documentation on help you accomplish that task. So that's the nice thing about quick start. So you can see this in 4.6. This is my 4.6 cluster right now. Let's leave this tour. So this is my 4.6 cluster. I also have a 4.7 cluster. So the reason I want to talk about quick starts today is because we're going to make that extensible as well, right? So last show, I should say, we showed all the different customization CRDs we have for console. So now if I come in here into the CRD page and I search for console, you'll see a new one here called console quick start. And we come in here and create a console quick start. Again, this is cutting edge. We haven't even added any samples yet, but as you can see, you have the schema here. So you kind of come in and look at how to create one of these yourselves. So you can come in, play with it, create your own quick starts. You could add the steps, which we call tasks here, and this shows you, description, summary, title, review, like how to come in and set this all up, which is really cool. And again, this isn't 4.7. And the other thing I wanted to share with you all is you could come to, I'll get rid of this header real quick, sorry. You can come into OpenShift. So if you come to OCM, right, and this is where you come to install OpenShift. You come into OCM. Let's say you want to install to Amazon Web Services, AWS. Pick install install provision infrastructure, and you'll see this thing here that says download pre-release builds. This is our nightly. You can come and get OpenShift 4.7 as of today, and just come down the install like you would a regular installer and install that, and that'll give you access to all the things that we're working on in 4.7. One other kind of cool thing I wanted to show in 4.7, not ready, but it's going to be here, is we're going to be adding language preference. So we're adding I18N support for 4.7 as well. So you get a little chooser and you get a little pick and switch over. I think if I switch, you won't actually get, we haven't actually done all the translations yet, so you get a hodgepodge. So I won't share that yet, but it will be available to everybody. Now to kind of keep talking about quick starts, I'm gonna hand this off to Bree, and she's gonna kind of share the design stuff with this. and where the future of quick starts is, where we're planning to go.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Ollie. And the quick start CRD is really cool. I actually haven't seen that yet, so really cool to see that in the console. I will go ahead and share. We have a running wish list of things that we do want to add to quick starts in the future. So I just want to share some of these with you guys and see if anyone has any things that they would like to see on the wish list for quick starts. But this is, I guess, a little bit of a behind the scenes on kind of how we think about new features that we want to add for enhancements for features like this. So the first two are hints and quick start catalog. These we are planning for 4.7, but I mean, as Chris mentioned in the beginning, sometimes things change. So that's definitely what we're aiming for. So the first one is hints, and I will jump into that. And I will say that this was worked on by another designer on our team, so I can't take all the credit for these great designs, but Laura has been working really hard on some of these feature enhancements. So the first one is hints from Quick Start. So I do have a little prototype here that I will share with everyone. So for hints, this is the catalog page that Ollie was just showing you. And so one thing that we were thinking about is if we want to navigate users throughout the console during the quick start to show them like where to go and what to do, it could be cool to sort of point some of these things out to them if they don't know where some of these things live, if maybe they're a new user. So this is just demonstrating a hint. And if you bring your attention to the masthead, I'm going to be opening this quick start here. And you can see this is just a little bit of dummy text in here, but just to activate the hint, I'll be clicking this text link within the quick start. And pardon that was a little bit slow, but you can see there is, I'm not sure it's coming across, but this little blue box does appear in the masthead to highlight that area, and it will be sort of pulsing to kind of bring the user's attention to that. So that is one of the new features that we're looking at for 4.7, which would be really exciting. And just some use cases for this. Anything in the masthead, things in the navigation, I think we'll be adding as well. So if we're having users switch perspectives, we can point out the perspective switcher to them, specific pages. And then as we start building this out, potentially other areas that we can highlight in the UI. So that is the first enhancement. The next one that I want to jump into, looks like my little Zoom bar is covering all of the tabs I'm trying to access.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you got to slide that thing out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So the next one I did want to share is updates to their catalog page. Again, Laura did work on this design. So scroll down here. So Ollie just showed you what we had for 4.6, which is a little basic, and you just pretty much see the cards there. But in this new one, we're adding filtering. So you can filter by keyword or by status. And this is sort of, if anyone's familiar with the Hub and how we do filtering there, it's pretty similar to that. So just to give some quick previews, for example, if you type in serverless, anything related to serverless will be filtered to the top. We will have empty states. So if you misspell something or we don't have something within that topic that you searched for, then we will let you know. So that is just a little feature of the design there as well. And then the last thing, we do have this filter by progress. So Ollie was mentioning that we do show you which quick starts are completed, which ones are in progress. And then I think one of the biggest things people want to know is what are the quick starts I haven't taken yet. So you can easily filter by those using this status filter here. And you can see when you check them off, they do get filtered down. So those are the two that we do have fleshed out designs for 4.7. We do have a little bit of a longer wish list here. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know, Ollie, if there's anything that you want to highlight in particular, but we do have planned for 4.8 some CLI interactivity, which I think will be very cool. So introducing folks to the CLI and allowing them to sort of take actions through that and not just focus on the UI. And then some quick search or quick add features for the quick search as well.
Yeah, one of the things that I hear a lot is, so we have Catacodas, right? Which is kind of this really cool system to go and interactively do stuff with OpenShift. And behind the scenes, they kind of spin up OpenShift VM for you and they take you through this lesson. So we're trying to kind of provide somewhat of that experience right in your own cluster, right? So why not have interactive learning right where you are? So if you already have a cluster, in cluster, you can now go through all these like tutorials and quick starts to get you up and running and to show you cool things. One of the powerful things I think is that going to be that CLI interactivity, because there's still a few things you can't do in the UI. So maybe we show you how you do most of the UI and then switch over to the CLI to do a step or two, or even showing people this is how you do in the UI, but then this is how the equivalent command would be for the CLI, right? Kind of showing you how they map up to each other. So a lot of cool stuff we can do. Really just bringing that learning into the cluster and cluster for you, and a pretty powerful tool. And it was great that you showed the ability to filter, because like I said, we're making this extensible. So not only will we provide quick starts, but ISVs and the operator creators can add their own quick starts in. So say you're Couch DB or whoever, you come in and have a couple quick starts to show your users how to come in and really take full advantage of your services.
Yeah, definitely. And some of the future enhancements here that I'm pretty excited about is maybe in future linking folks to those pages directly. So any navigational items, or including a progress bar, so users know exactly where they are in the quick start and how close they are to completing it. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for some of these future enhancements that are coming. And I guess if anyone has something that they'd love to see in quick starts, we'd love to hear about it. So yeah, feel free to drop those in the comments. We'll definitely be paying attention to those.
Yeah, I mean, we're even talking about like an operator hub, having a badge there that shows people that this operator comes with its own quick starts, right? So again, that's another way to like elevate your operator. If you're, you have competing operators out there, you could highlight yours by having this added service on top.
Definitely.
All right.
Well, thank you all.
Yeah, great job, Bree. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good job.
Let's hand off to Chris, and Chris gives a little razzmatazz.
Okay. Well, if you guys like seeing what Bree was just talking about, you're going to love this, because you can think of this as sort of a crystal ball to see these things that we're working on. So this is the OpenShift design GitHub site here. You can get to it via OpenShift/OpenShift-origin-design. And this is where we post a lot of our ongoing design work while it's still in progress, and then when it's finished as well. So you can see here we have open pull requests for design work that will potentially go into future versions of OpenShift. So for instance, some quick start guidelines that Bree added, we can take a look at those. We post all of these with images as well as markdown files. So all of that stuff is documented here in GitHub. And it's not necessarily the best to look at in the actual GitHub preview, but that is why we have this design site listed right here. This is a much better rendering, as you can see. We have some basic information about the user experience design team at Red Hat, including which of us designers works on which different aspects of the product, and then some information about the open source projects that we use to create all the visuals for Red Hat projects. So over here on the left, we have navigation of a few different ways of organizing the things that we post. So under designs here, you can see our design wireframes and mockups broken down by what part of the OpenShift product that they are effective for. So administrator, developer, as well as OCM, storage, virtualization, and probably some more being added in the future. If you go under releases, you can see the same designs, but organized by the release version. So here we have them sorted by release, so we can take a look at what went into 4.6 here, broken down by each category as well. And again, just a caveat one more time, just because you see something listed here in a future release does not necessarily mean that it will go into that release. Things get moved in and out. But for the most part, these are up to date, especially if it's for a previous release. And then under 4X here, we have things that we have worked on, but that have not necessarily been slated for a specific release yet. So just as an example of the kind of thing we post, here is some cluster setup work that I did a while ago. This is a feature that we are hoping to include to make it easier to know what you need to do to get your cluster production ready when you first install OpenShift. So we can see a description here, as well as pictures that sort of walk you through the design. and provide specifications for development, that kind of thing. And the fun thing about this particular design is that it was actually informed by some research that our team did. So if we go down to the research tab here, we can also see the research that went into this. So we did a number of interviews with customers to determine which things we would put in that checklist. And you can see all the background here, as well as view the deck that shows all the results of that research. So there's lots of good stuff on the site. And then lastly, we have the conventions section here, which just kind of goes through basic design conventions that exist within OpenShift for how to do different tasks. This is more of a resource for us developers so that we keep things consistent across the developer and admin perspective, as well as the multi-cluster stuff that we're working on. But it still might be interesting to look through just to see, the thoughts that went into the different aspects of OpenShift. So if you're ever confused by something, you can look through here and see, oh, that's why that is the way it is. So we're in the process of making a few changes. You'll continue to see lots of good information here. But in the past couple of weeks, I believe, our Jira instance has gone public. So in the future, you may start to see links to specific Jira stories for requirements gathering, for high-level basic design, for final design projects, linked in here in addition to the markdown files that we currently link to. So this is just going to become more fully featured and more useful to you guys as time goes on. But in the meantime, feel free to check out this page, check out the GitHub repo, leave comments on open designs if you notice something that looks a little weird, or potentially even file an issue here if there's something that bothers you consistently in the UI. Feel free to bring it up and we'll take a look at it.
Chris, that was awesome. So you guys saw lots of great content on the design site. You can kind of see how the sausage is being made. You kind of see what we're thinking about, where we're focused on. You can see the research studies we've done. We have a really great UXD team, and they put a lot of work behind the designs they do. And this kind of just showcases that, right? And then we have that. It's again, we're a total open source company. We have the GitHub. It's a way for everybody to come in, take a look, provide feedback, let us know what you're thinking. Again, come in and play around. Please come join us. It's gonna be fun. So.
Yeah,
It's always fun.
Is there some way we can post this link in the chat or make it easier for people to get here rather than have to remember the name of it?
Yeah, I'll grab it real quick.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem. OpenShift origin design. I can get that and drop that in.
That's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
So that's about all the content we had for you all today. Chris, anything else you want to talk about? What do we have?
Well, Partix is asking me if he needs load balancers and a UPI bare metal install, so I'm trying to find the answer to that. But Andrew's replying to me right now in Slack. So for UPI, for any UPI or non-integrated deployment, they need external load balancers. Only with IPI can they skip them. So there's the answer to that. If you're doing UPI, meaning user provision infrastructure, you will need the load balancers. If you're doing the installer provision infrastructure, you do not. It will take care of that for you. So that's a pretty cut and dry answer there. I will type it in chat just to make sure, but that's the only pending question to my knowledge. People thinks this is I can't even talk. People think this is very cool. So yeah, that was one of the comments as well. Awesome. And Serena likes the quick starts, but we already know what Serena thinks about the quick starts.
Sure as well, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. This is a great show. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate your time. Thank you all for tuning in. Coming up next is DevNation. They're doing some fun stuff with Java on OpenShift. Also, is OKD still upstream for OpenShift? Yes, it is very much the upstream for OpenShift. We kind of, had to do some things a little differently with the OpenShift 4 release, but OKD is now like rocking and rolling. So yeah, it's the upstream. So yeah, feel free to kick the tires and light the fires on okd.io. I will drop that in chat in case folks are wondering where to go for that. All right. No other questions?
Awesome.
Thank y'all. Ali, Chris, Tony, Brianna, thank you all so much. You do great work. Really appreciate you having the show to show folks like what their future world will look like. And everybody in chat really appreciates your time today.
Hey, thanks for hosting us, and thank you UXD team. Appreciate you all coming. This was fun. So see y'all next month.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Bye.